Welcome, everybody. Today, this is our first episode of UFOs in the Garden. Hopefully, one of many, but time will tell. UFOs have now really come into the mainstream in a way that has not been seen ever before. We now have the ability to talk about this very controversial topic in a way that we've never been able to do before without ridicule, whether it comes from social ridicule, political ridicule, economic, academic. This subject for the longest time has been a taboo subject, but now we are approaching a time in our species' existence where such topics are now being able to be talked about. But one of the things that you very quickly come across is that this is a very, very hard subject to grasp. It is a very interdisciplinary subject. It's hard to talk about UFOs, UAPs without touching on many other subjects, and it can be quite daunting when you're a new person coming into this subject. Where do I begin? Do I start with something like Roswell, the historical aspect? Do I start in the modern day with David Grushes and Mr. Pilot Fravor, um, Graham Graves, and those guys who were very brave and what they went and disclosed in Washington? It's a very big topic. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's very hard to know where to start. I'm hoping to use these series of videos to kind of act as an introduction to this very complex topic. If anyone ever tries and sells you a very simple explanation for this topic, if anyone ever answers a complex question with a simple answer, something's not right. UFOs, UAPs, and their broader meaning is a very complex topic. So do not let anyone try and use a one sentence or two sentence explanation for this phenomenon. It is more complicated. The secrecy, the technology, and all that comes with this topic is quite controversial. But now it seems to be reaching a level of acceptance which it has never had before. What does this mean for you as a person trying to learn about UFOs? Due to the amount of misinformation, disinformation out there, it's important that you always try and remain as true to the truth as you can, but you will not know it at the time. A lot of the time, there is so much bad information that's been put out there intentionally sometimes, and not intentionally all the times. So I will do my best to sort through it. But this is a subject matter, like I mentioned before, it was so taboo for so long. You can't go to a university and get a degree in this subject. It's not like history or political science or economics. You can't go and study this in school. And it's been this taboo topic for a variety of reasons, which I'll get into later videos. But it's first being able to accept that this topic of UFOs is more complicated. Um, and it will touch on a lot of areas that almost don't at first glance seem it has anything to do with UFOs, but they do. We need to find a way of creating a dialogue between those who are approaching the subject as newbies for the first time, and those who have been in it a long time. And even those who have been in the field a long time get turned around quite often. You just get given bad information. And as I said, it's when something is complicated, it takes time and energy and effort to be able to sort through. There are charlatans out there. There are those who want to make a quick buck. There are those who want to spread fear. And there are those who just genuinely don't know that they don't know. So I hope to be able to explain it to you as these videos go on. I think we should start at the start. Seems like a real fine place to start. UFOs and UAPs, unidentified flying objects, unknown aerial phenomenon. They have been in our skies now for a few thousand years. This is not a new phenomenon. But what is new about it is we are now able to speak about it without as much ridicule as we had in the past. This is probably one of these issues that will unify us as a species. If we are able to approach it the right way, this can be a great unifying force. It could also cause a lot of trouble if it's not handled correctly. But I do believe there's much more good that can come out of this subject than bad. There can be a lot of fear, but the fear in many ways is not warranted. And I hope to be able to explain this as we go along. I'm not saying it's not warranted from the point of view that there's nothing about this phenomenon that's unsafe, but the two aspects of what a UFO are, and perhaps that's the next step I should go into right now. is UFOs tend to fall into two main categories. When you see a machine that's flying through the air, like the Tic Tac video, the military, the triangle that flew over the Marine base last year, earlier this year, um, David Grush's testimony. The idea is that when you see these things flying through the air, a lot of people immediately want to go to aliens and ET, and in some cases, that is the right answer. But in most cases, what you're actually seeing is what is called an ARV, an alien reproduction vehicle, as opposed to seeing an ETV, extraterrestrial vehicle. ARVs seem to have been around from prior to World War II. They seem to have had primitive versions of them. The Nazis seem to have had primitive versions of them given to them by the Italians, according to David Grush, that there were crashes prior to Roswell in 1947. What we need to really try and discern is that accepting that there are certain things that are flying around that are within human capabilities and certain things that are not. Which one of these are which? That is probably the first question we should jump over. But let's start with the fact that we are now in a place where we can talk about this subject much more openly. And it should be done. And it should be done with a certain amount of care, because there can be a very easy way to send someone down a very scary rabbit hole. And what I would like to say is that these ET beings, these aliens, whichever term you prefer, they've been here a long time. If they wanted to kill us, if they really wanted to off us, they would have done so already. And if you have the power to travel through intergalactic space, you have the ability to fire something much stronger than a nuclear weapon. It's being able to take a step back and trying to realize, how do these ETs view us? And I do want to spend a whole other video on that. But it's being able to accept that what you're going to be learning is going to be difficult. It's not an easy subject to wrap your mind around, but I do hope to be able to start to be able to help people. I've been on this journey now for over 20 years. It's one of these subject matters from as a very young child has fascinated me, concerned me. I also came from a place of fear at first, and now it's turned into kind of a bit of a passion, trying to understand this mystery. I genuinely believe it to be the greatest story never told. Now, where do we go from here now that we have this information? I always say we move towards enlightenment. We always try and find a way to do better than we did yesterday. Let's not have a fearful response to this new phenomenon. We, as a species, are forced to encounter very little as one. We encounter things as nation states, we encounter them as social groups, we encounter them as economic groups, religious groups, whatever. This is one of the few issues that we do have to approach as a species. I think it is very important that we understand that. I'm not saying everyone hold hands and forget all your woes of the past, but it is being able to take this new very complex topic, which has been around for a long time but was not able to be spoken about, and the censorship behind this topic will be its own video. I do hope that as time goes on, what seems a mystery, a flying machine through the sky, we can be able to better discern what they really are, and more importantly, why the secret was kept. If I were to drive straight at the heart of the secrecy, it has changed over the years. There's not just one reason for the secrecy, but I can say the one modern main reason is energy suppression. Is that right now we have been on fossil fuels for much longer than we should have been as a species. We've had new energy generation technologies, but we've chosen, or it was chosen for us by powerful elites, to stay on this path of purposeful obsolescence. You're going to burn 10 gallons to the 1 mile to the gallon, just so next year I can sell you something that gets 2 miles to the gallon. Right? You get the idea. Is that we're not giving you the very best clean technology, despite environmental causes being so much on the forefront of modern day politics. No one wants to talk about replacing oil with an alien energy generator, right? But the fact that these things are flying through the air at least shows these energy systems do exist. Now, there are human versions of it. Good documentary to watch on this is The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's a very, very good documentary. It shows that there are humans who have already come up with better technology. Before we even jump to the aliens, the humans have come up with good technology. It's just understanding why this story cannot be released. And I say that's one of the main ones. Not the only reason, but that is one of the main ones. Um, as I said, I really want to take this first video just to kind of introduce you to the subject of unidentified flying objects, UAPs, and be able to at least take the basic discernment of realizing that some are human, some are alien. And as time goes on, I hope to be able to explain more than that. We must accept that this is not easy. It's like the first time you learn long division, very few people can pick up long division the first time, or calculus, or whatever the subject matter may be. It takes a little bit of time, you sometimes will get uncomfortable, but it's being able to actually go on to and fro with it. But literally, this is the final week of November 2023, and we now just learned that the CIA has a subsect of it, the OGA, Office of Global Access. That's really the CIA wing, or one of the CIA wings, that deals with the UFO crash retrieval program. It's on the Daily Mail, released it about 2 days ago. And I do hope that this will be a continuation of the acceptance of this topic. It is a topic that garners much interest across the world, and it is something that I believe needs to be handled with a lot of care. And this kind of ability to take someone from being a kindergarten to a more graduate student level of knowledge is not an easy journey to go on. And I do hope that people will approach these issues with not a lot of fear. Is obviously the unknown is fearful, but the interwoven nature, the interdisciplinary nature of this topic requires us to use nuance when understanding it. Is not to take the reductionist route, not to take the easy way out when discussing these very complex topics. And I say I'll just leave it here for today. That essentially UFOs fall into two categories, assuming it's not a ball lightning or St. Elmo's fire or some other weird weather phenomenon. ARV, alien reproduction vehicle, and ETV, extraterrestrial vehicle. Two main categories, so whenever you see a UFO, that is the first lens I want you to apply. Are we seeing something that is an alien reproduction vehicle? Are we seeing something that is an extraterrestrial vehicle? And as time goes on, I will explain certain techniques you can use to discern it, but the human technology and the copycatting of this alien tech has gotten very good. So it's actually become much, much harder to discern the two. But that's a question for another day. What good, my friends. Peace be with you.